Okay, is Matt Mazer around? Yes. Would you come up, Matt?
I think
We have
Q&A, but I don't think it's only us. I think it's...
Here's some of those questions, Matt. I thought we would try a couple of those. There's some there.
Is this a Q&A session?
Yeah,
Can I get Mark Lucenti to come up?
sure. Mark, you want to come up?
This is Mark Lucente, who was in that video clip moving the world around on the screen.
Yeah.
But more than, I think he,
Yeah.
who develops this
We're going to have
stuff.
everybody up. Yeah. Yes. Ann, Kim, everybody who was the former speakers here, come on. And I'll throw these out for a minute. I'll throw out many more tomorrow. My head has been sort of elsewhere today. I don't know if you saw the last issue of Business Week, but it's about voice recognition, the big story on that. Matt, do you want to try and see if we can ask him some questions that have to do with what we're doing here? Or any other
Do any of
questions?
these make sense?
No.
Oh.
There, try those. Those are the ones you
Well, the ones that make sense.
Yeah, okay. Wait, you should have some more chairs. Sorry.
I was going to ask the one that said, given the previous topic,
Here,
what would be your
lady.
next step? Step 1, Step 2, Step 3, or Step 4?
Very good. Yeah.
You can vote now. So we are now going to start doing some of this interactive stuff. We will have a lot more later. Some of them almost as funny as these.
Just try two and we'll
Okay.
go into it.
Would you
And then
buy?
It's up to Dan. No, you first.
Okay, me first.
Yeah.
The product that he's seen.
Whatever you want.
Okay. The product that we just saw demonstrated. Isn't this interactive stuff great? Would you buy this product? Please press 1.
Well, would you buy a voice?
Any of the current voice activation technologies as we have seen them demonstrated here today. Okay. 1 for yes.
Yeah. They all got it free in their bag.
Like I said, would you buy? We can give it to you. 1 for yes, 2 for no.
If it wasn't in your bag. The time is going.
Okay.
Just wait a second. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Such is the value of promotion. If significant changes were made based on what you saw today, would you buy this product?
An upgraded version.
That worked.
Hey, they were willing to buy the one that wasn't free.
That was free. All right. Now it's the upgrade. That's going to cost you money.
My whole job is on the
We should have music for this, like Jeopardy. Boy.
I've got a feature.
How useful would this technology be in your work such as it is? 1 for very useful, 2 for somewhat useful, 3 for mildly useful, 4, it would be a doorstop. Okay, 1 for very, 2 for somewhat, 3 for mildly, and 4 not at all.
Let's do that. Okay.
We don't have this one. What next to Singapore? You don't do that? Do we have that for you? We don't get
Oh, that's interesting.
That's pretty, you know,
Okay.
very
Dan.
and somewhat adds up to
right, thank you.
64%.
My name is Dan Okrent. I'm the editor of New Media at Time Incorporated. Richard called me about 10 days ago and said, we want to try something new this year with the maybe we'll put people together as a panel, and I'd like you to do it for me. And then he hung up.
A familiar experience.
And so, actually, I was planning on singing Amazing Grace, but I had to pass on that. The idea here is we're going to democratize this somewhat, and I'll start with a few things with the people who spoke earlier today, and then we'll get to you. The difficulty is, Richard was referring right after lunch to the division on his board of advisors about whether he should explain why certain speakers are speaking together, and so it's kind of fallen to me to bring this group, this rather disparate group together, talking about cocktail waitresses, and floppy tracheas and a few other things that don't lunch with Renee that I don't know how to pull together. But one thing that did seem to be a theme through was interfaces. And I would like to know why, as somebody who comes from a print background, who's not a technologist at all, that despite the relentless pressure of the Inspector Javert of Dow Jones, why are interfaces on consumer products so lousy and have been for so long? Kim, do you want to take a shot?
Interfaces on consumer products outside the computer industry?
No,
or
no, I mean specifically those things that we're concerned with today, that you're concerned
in
with.
the computer
Yeah.
industry? Okay. I think it's because there was never a need to cater to the average consumer before. And what's happening with the increasing dropping of the price on a PC, so the availability of these PCs now to people who previously couldn't have them, as well as internet-connected cell phones and PDAs, they're getting cheaper, and the internet, enabling every person on the planet to be connected into some server somewhere. Essentially, the entire population is now a potential audience for the computer industry.
But what you're suggesting is that those of us who had computers 5 years, we didn't matter, or we can make our way through
I
it
think the
10 years
computer
ago.
industry just was sort of asleep at the switch in not getting the fact that they weren't able to expand their audience beyond a pretty limited set of people who are willing to put up with, incredible idiocy in interfaces. And now the economic incentive of being able to have the entire planet as your audience is finally waking up the collective computer industry to...
It just seems a little late in the day.
It is late in the day, I agree.
This is a huge, trillion-dollar industry.
That's right.
And they're still not making it where you can turn the key and drive the car. I don't know, Ozzy, do you have any thoughts?
Oh, exactly. If you look at where in the PC side of the business and people want to use it, it's very hard. It's a very difficult interface. It's very complex. And we require end users to change their habits to use our machines. And if you look at the history of what we've done in the PC or even before the PC business, the interface has gotten a magnitude easier to use, but it's extremely hard for the neophytes. And so if we're going to expand the business, we've got to change that interface.
Does that beg the question that maybe the computer industry shouldn't be left to people in the computer industry?
If you look at where technology is, I think that the computer technology is moving out of the computer space, the PC space, into the end user space, the people who are putting out products that are not computer oriented but will incorporate it. I mean, such as cars, refrigerators, TVs. I mean, you think about who's going to be producing these things. They're going to require a nice, clean interface, easy to use, because that's what people expect.
And in your position as a VC, and you see people coming in with ideas, do they care about it?
Well, I think there's, if you really think about the age of the software industry, which most of the user interfaces are software, it's not that late in the game. We're still pretty early in the game. And there really weren't that many people who were participants in creating these user interfaces. Also, focus groups where you really tried to get input from consumers were very expensive propositions. And one of the themes of what I was trying to say is that it's very recent that capital has really flowed into the software segment. Most people have gotten to where they are by hard-earned profits. So you had engineers building things the best they could, looking at them, making sure that they didn't blow up, or they didn't blow up very often. I think we're just really
Define
entering-
very often.
I mean, it's true. I was just saying that, I travel with my laptop all the time. It's the laptop never breaks, but I do end up rebooting that computer 5 to 6 to 7 times a day, which is unsatisfactory and unacceptable. But I do think that we really are in an industry that is just at best in its adolescence and now has a lot of capital, and in fact probably more capital than it needs. So we will see more ability to embrace consumers and take this away from an engineer, who really thought the user interface was quite satisfactory.
Well, but, I mean, you have to actually use all these things on a daily basis.
I'm slightly less charitable, as those who know me.
I'm stunned.
Yeah, I know. I would just observe that there are some companies which make a large number of these products, which seem to me to have no shortage of capital for a long time, and really, it's almost all of them. I mean, I honestly think that there's what I call the science project mentality is ruled in the industry, that this is not really a business where your customers, you're just all my testers in the science project. And please call and let me know where I screwed up, and I'll try to fix it maybe, and I'll post it on the web. And I honestly think the fundamental, I mean, things like, I think everything that Kim said is right, and the speech thing and some of these other things are going to be very important in consumerizing it. But I also think there has to be a phenomenal attitude change in the industry that will be hard to make because, in fact, since consumers have been patsies for this, since consumers have believed that it was their fault, the people who control this industry, who make all this stuff, have become extremely rich making defective products. I mean, it's fabulous.
Well, I think there is one thing to be said. I mean, I agree with you that there's a lot of sucking on our own exhaust pipes that goes on in the software industry, and that kills
Hold the
brain
mic up.
cells. I mean, there is a lot of sucking on our own exhaust pipes that go on. I mean, this email phenomena, which now all consumers think has happened, has been present in our industries for a long time, where we only talk to each other. Well, now you have everybody's email, so it is time for the consumers to really speak up and give some real feedback to the people who are building these things, who we all know by their email addresses. But on the other hand, software on the whole has been viewed by corporate America as an extraordinary part of their strategic competitive weapon going forward, and they're demanding these products earlier and earlier to get ahead, to buy the future early. I mean, we're selling the future a bit, and we're selling stuff that sort of doesn't work, but in the meantime, we have customers who, the ones who are paying the real money, who are corporations, wanting it sooner, willing to take more bugs, willing to take fragile user interfaces. So the dynamics are not quite balanced yet to fix this user interface problem.
Thinking about the poor benighted consumer a little bit more in a related area, I suppose, the question of information. Nearly all of you spoke about the way the various devices or software developments in the industry are going to lead to easier access to information, information coming through more pipelines, greater bandwidth. Is there a hierarchy of information? Is it possible that there's too damn much information, and that by making it so easy to get to, you are simply cluttering the universe of information or of information consumers?
Well, I'm sorry, I'll just make a quick comment. What we're actually seeing is, it's kind of ironic, but the computer industry can actually take some inspiration from TV in this respect. The idea of, yeah, go figure, subscribing to something that you're interested in and having that information beamed to you. And the ease with which you can click between. I mean, we talk in my company about, instead of applications, we talk about channels and tuning into the financial channel, the accounting channel. And the interface comes into play here. I mean, if you're watching Channel 5, you're watching Seinfeld, and you switch to Channel 7 to watch the news, you're never told there's a DLL left over from the Seinfeld program. So it's kind of ironic, but we are, in fact, in terms of computer interface and also dealing with monstrous amounts of data, we're moving towards a model, or enabling a model of subscribing to information or services.
So you're saying that while we're making the doors wider open, we also have to have guards at them to make allow fewer things through, possibly?
Essentially.
I mean, the company that I worked for several years ago experimented with a 500-channel television system in a couple of neighborhoods in Queens. The problem, there was nothing on. You could have 500 channels, but no one could find the content I supposed to put in it. So that it's almost as if the technology is begging the question rather than answering the question. Janet, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts. One is that I think that there will be some improvements forthcoming with unified messaging, and eventually with the further evolution of, for example, speech recognition. Eventually you can look forward to automatic transcription of your voicemail and things like that, so you aren't listening in the single dimension that audio requires you to. And I think that it'll be easier to insert filters that will help you prioritize the messages that you want to listen to. The other thing that I think relates to that in terms of this information overload and all these channels that we're barraged by is, I think that making use of good search engine technology will be able
Well, that may be an oxymoron, if we could go back on that. What is good search engine technology?
I'm going to beg that question for a moment, but what I was going to say is I think that you can get more definition by providing more redundancy. I mean, there have been some significant technology demonstrations, not products, where in fact by making extended queries, where in fact you're using a lot of the terms and the words that you want, you can actually refine your choice so that today's available search engines can be much more discriminating in finding exactly the information you want in a short list or something like that, so that it's easy to pick it from.
Dan?
Shall we take this, shall we do our Phil Donahue number now, or what's your feeling?
No, because we're running late, but I just have to jump in here a little bit and say, because it's an area that I have some interest in, and that is that I don't think there's an information overload. I think there's an overload of non-information. And you aren't overloaded by things that you can understand. You're not overloaded by things that you are interested in that you can understand. We're overloaded by data. We're overloaded by things that are not understandable. Most things in most books, magazines, on web pages are not understandable.
Well, maybe they're all too understandable and not worth understanding.
I will open up the front page of the New York Times today. You don't open up the front page, it's there. The front page
It's
of
an
the New York,
interface problem, but you'll get it sometime.
and
actually a
we
good
can't ask the simplest question of most articles and understand them. And I mean, this is what I lecture on most of the time, and I will prove it to you in private or in public, because I'm not going to give a whole speech here. But that's a fundamental issue, is not information overload. It's understandable information and having this find it journey. On Saturday, we're having 14 presentations, 7 minutes each, which is the second half of this presentation today. So it's command and find. And I hope from those 14 people, which I sort of grouped together and called them nerds before, those 14 people, that we're going to find some avenue, some map, some journey, some roadmap through that appeals to different one of us in this journey through the things that we're interested in.
Is it possible to find something between what you're describing and what I'm describing, saying there's too much crap, right? And that we've made it too easy for the crap to reach us?
No, I think it's not crap if you're interested in it. I think it's,
but if you're not
interested in it, you shouldn't have to go through it.
Should not, but it's inescapable at the moment. I'll stop with this.
Okay, I think it's not inescapable if you can have a map that allows you to go where you want to go. Most of the word information is the word inform. Most things don't inform us.
Fair enough.
Okay. I'm going to call this to a close, but don't go, because we're going to have a short drawing. I am trying to keep this on time. Thank you very much. Nothing is ever long enough, but thank you, thank you. You didn't say anything, but we love you anyway. Okay.